With less than 100 days left of Tears of the Kingdom, I thought, why not join the hype train and make a video? Today, we're going to talk about the Zelda Redemption. Top 10 changes that Tears of the Kingdom could make to make it a perfect game compared to Breath of the Wild. Nintendo needs to increase the difficulty in Tears of the Kingdom. I think for most people, Breath of the Wild was a really easy game. And Master Mode didn't really do enough to make it more difficult. So maybe making like a Grandmaster Mode or just adding more difficulty options by adding more features into the game with each changed difficulty option would honestly be a really good change. Similar to how Relics of the Past added more Guardians and more damage and less weapons and stuff like that. Adding that to Tears of the Kingdom would appeal to the fan base that really wanted a harder game, and even to speedrunners who would play the game more to get the best speedrun times in the harder modes too. They need to stop changing the colors of the enemies and denoting them as separate enemies. They need to make different types of enemies, similar to what they showed in the trailer with the weird worm monster thing. I don't know what that was, but they need to add more diverse enemies, like more than just Moblins, Lynels, Lizalfos, and Bokoblins. We need to be able to see Zelda in this game. We weren't able to see Zelda at all in Breath of the Wild, and honestly, that kind of bothered me, right? Because in the past few Zelda games, we were able to interact with Zelda a decent amount. It's literally called The Legend of Zelda. However, in Breath of the Wild, that wasn't the case. So I feel like adding more Zelda interaction would just make the game so much better. And hopefully the part where she falls into that bottomless pit wasn't at the beginning of the game, because the trailer really got me hyped for actually playing with Zelda. Maybe not another player, but just interacting with her. I think one of the most questionable features of Breath of the Wild was definitely the weapon system. I think one of the things Tears of the Kingdom could do a lot better is adding upgrades to weapons. Similar to how in Minecraft you can add sharpness and unbreaking to a sword, you should be able to add more durability or more damage to weapons in Tears of the Kingdom, which would honestly make the weapon system a lot better. Also, getting upgrades that are only attainable with manually upgrading the weapons by encouraging exploration to find rare materials and such in order to actually upgrade the weapons. That'd really revamp the system amazingly, and I think that'd make Tears of the Kingdom a lot better than Breath of the Wild. Adding NPC encounters around the map would make Tears of the Kingdom so much better than Breath of the Wild. For me, the Breath of the Wild map was really empty, and adding more things like longer side quests or just smaller NPC interactions like the Yiga clan interactions we had during Breath of the Wild would just make the game so much better, would make the world so much more alive, and that really increased my rating for Tears of the Kingdom. Also, adding more complex and unique and abundant puzzles around the map would just blow my mind. Okay, I think I speak for everyone saying the bosses in Breath of the Wild were way too easy. The fact that there's enemies in the overworld that are harder than every boss in the game combined, Lynels, is just crazy to me. And I think it'd be really awesome to see just more diverse bosses and a much more difficult and satisfying final boss in general. I know they didn't copy and paste them, but a lot of shrines and divine beasts seemed really repetitive. Out of the 120 shrines, there's like 20 tests of strengths, and most of the other shrines just feel the same. There's some exceptions, and the shrine quests do make it more interesting to get to some of the shrines. However, the overwhelming amount of shrines just felt somewhat repetitive, and the Divine Beast felt even more repetitive. Each Divine Beast had the same strategy, just to use the Sheikah Slate to alter the Divine Beast in order to get to obscure locations to scan terminals, and that just wasn't enough for me. It got tiring after the second Divine Beast for me. I think it'd be really interesting to allow the player to give Link upgrades. Things like strength perks to permanently deal more damage to enemies, intelligence perks to finish certain tasks faster, stamina perks to consume stamina slower. I think adding a lot of these would just make the game a lot more interesting in terms of what you can do with Link. I think what would be amazing and would add a lot more depth into Tears of the Kingdom compared to Breath of the Wild would be letting players see underwater and go interact with items underwater, adding quests underwater potentially, or having underwater levels, something like that. Just having more underwater experience in Tears of the Kingdom would be awesome. Having more diverse attack patterns in the water would be awesome, similar to how the Zora armor allowed Link to attack in the water in Breath of the Wild. I think building on that and adding more attack patterns would be awesome. In Breath of the Wild, I think my top 3 complaint is that players weren't able to complete any post-story. It would have been really interesting to give players the ability to continue helping Hyrule recover from the events of the Calamity and the events of the game to show actual progress in the world and restore the OG Hyrule, potentially by populating towns, building up towns and such. In conclusion, there's a lot of changes that Tears of the Kingdom can make to Breath of the Wild that would make it a lot better. And hopefully it's not just a glorified DLC or just a continuation of Breath of the Wild. Hopefully it adds a lot more to Breath of the Wild than what it seems to at the moment. Because I think that's what's worrying a lot of people right now. That's it for this video. Let me know how I can improve my videos at all, because I'm kind of new to this YouTube thing and I'd really appreciate some advice, and hope you enjoyed.